today objectives of today's class. So, defining the project have 5 steps. Today mainly we'll go through this. First, defining the project scope sets the stage for developing a detailed project plan. Project scope is the definition of the end result or mission of our project, a product or service for your client or customer. The primary purpose is to define as clearly as possible the deliverables for the end user and to focus project plans. Your project scope definition is a document that will be published and used by the project owner and project participants for planning and measuring project success. So, scope describes what you expect to deliver to your customer when the project is complete. Hope it's clarified what is the scope, project scope. The scope should be developed under the direction of the project manager, customer, and other significant stakeholders. The project manager is responsible for seeing that there is agreement with the owner on project objectives, deliverables at each stage of the project, technical requirements, and so forth. For example, a deliverable in the key early stage might be specification. For the second stage, there are 3 prototypes for production. For the third, a sufficient quantity to introduce to market. And finally, marketing, promotion, and training. Purpose of the scope statement to clearly define the deliverables for the end user to focus the project on successful completion of its goals, to be used by the project owner and participant as a planning tool and for measuring project success. To ensure that scope definition is complete, you may wish to use the following checklists. Let's dive into details of this. So, project objectives. The first step of project scope definition is to define the overall objective to meet your customer's need. For example, as a result of extensive market research, a computer software company decided to develop a program that automatically translates verbal sentences in English to Russian. The project should be completed within 3 years at a cost not to exceed $1.5 million. So the project objective answers the question of what, when, how much, and at times where. Product scope description. This step is a detailed description of the characteristic of the product, service, or outcome of the project. The description is progressively elaborated throughout the project. For example, if the product is a cell phone, its product scope will be its screen, size, battery, processor, camera type, memory, and so on. The product scope answers the question what in result is wanted. Justification. It is important that project team members and stakeholders know why management authorized the project. This is sometimes referred to as the business case for the project since it usually includes cost benefit analysis and strategic significance. For example, on a new release project, the justification may be an expected ROI of 30% and an enhanced reputation in the marketplace. So, what is the problem or opportunity the project is addressing is the question that justification answers. Deliverables. The next step is to define major deliverables, the expected measurable output over the life of the project. For example, deliverables are in the early design phase of a project might be a list of specification, In the second phase, deliverables might be software coding and a technical manual. The next phase might be the prototype. The final phase might be final test and approved software. A milestone is a significant event in a project that occurs at a point in time. It represents fast, rough cut estimates of time, cost, and resources for the project. The milestone schedule is built using the deliverables as a platform to identify major segments of work and an end date. For example, testing complete and finished by July 1 of the same year. It's a milestone. Milestone should be natural, important control points in the project. Milestone should be easy for all project participants to recognize. The milestone schedule shows only major segment of work. Technical requirements. A product or service will have technical requirements to ensure proper performance. Technical requirements typically clarify the deliverables or define the performance specification. For example, a technical requirement for a personal computer might be the ability to accept 120 volt alternating current or 240 volt direct current without any adapters or user switches. Limits and exclusions. The limits of scope should be defined. Failure to do so can lead to false expectation to expending resources and time on the wrong problem. Example of limits: work on site is allowed only between the hours of 8 p.m. to 5 p.m. Or system maintenance and repair will be done only up to 1 month after final inspection, or and the client will be billed for the additional training beyond the prescribed in the contract. And exclusions further define the boundary of the project by stating what is not included. Examples include that data will be collected by the client. It can be exclusion. A house will be built but no landscape or security devices will be added. Software will be installed but no training given. These are the examples of exclusions. Acceptance criteria, mainly reviews of the customers. So acceptance criteria are a set of conditions that must be met before the deliverables are accepted. The following are examples like all tasks and milestones are complete, new service process began with a less than 1% deficit rate, third party certification is required and customer on site inspection is required. It's an example of the overall list we have seen. So let's learn some terms and definition related to this project scope. Scope statement. These are comprehensive documents that describe the project objectives, deliverables, milestones, and any risks. Scope statement typically consists of a brief summary and detailed documentation of each element. In some industries, the scope statement is referred to as a statement of work. This document outlines the project scope, including the task and deliverables expected from the project team. Project charter. A project charter is a document that formally authorizes the project. It is issued by upper management and gives the project manager the authority to use organizational resources. The charter typically includes a brief description of the project scope, risk limits, business case, spending limits, and sometimes even the project team composition. Scope creep or project creep. This term describes the uncontrolled expansion of a project scope over time, often due to changing requirements, specification, or priorities. Scope creep or project creep can lead to increased cost and delays, negatively impacting the project. The second step is establishing project priorities. One of the primary job of a project manager is to manage the trade-off among time, cost, and performance. To do so, project manager must define and understand the nature of the priorities of the project. One technique that is useful for this purpose is completing a priority matrix for the project to identify which criteria is constrained, which should be enhanced, and which can be accepted. So this figure showcases the trade-off of time, cost, and scope. And this is the project priority matrix. Um, uh, so in this figure, we can see the constraint enhancement accept term and the trade-off criteria. Constraint, the parameter that is fixed and cannot be compromised. It can be meeting the completing date, budget, specific performance specification. Enhance is the criteria that should be optimized if possible. Accept is the parameter that can be relaxed if trade-offs are necessary. So creating a priority matrix early in the project ensures clear expectation and helps avoid misunderstandings. It is also essential for ongoing project planning and problem solving. So third step of defining the project is creating the work breakdown structure or WBS. A work breakdown structure is a critical tool in project management, serving as a framework that breaks down a project into manageable sections, facilitating planning, control, and communication. So this figure showcases or illustrates the hierarchical nature of work breakdown structure, showcasing how a project can be systematically decomposed into progressively in smaller work elements. So top level is the project as the final deliverable, or that means what is the end product. At the top of the hierarchy is the entire project or representing the ultimate deliverable or end product. This is the broadest and most encompassing level of the WBS. Second is the major deliverable or system level. Immediately below the project level are the major deliverable or systems. This represents the primary components or system necessary to achieve the final deliverable. For instance, in a software project, this could be core modules like user interface, backend system, and database integration. Sub-deliverables. The major deliverables are then broken into sub-deliverables. Each sub-deliverable is a smaller, more specific piece of work necessary to complete a major deliverable. For example, under backend system, sub-deliverable might be include API development and server setup. Work packages. The lowest level of this hierarchical structure is the work package. Each sub-deliverable is decomposed into work packages, which are the smallest unit of work within a WBS. Work packages are detailed tasks that are manageable, assigned to specific individuals or teams, and have defined cost, time estimates, and responsibility. In summary, each work package in the work breakdown structure define work, identify time to complete a work package, identify a time phase budget to complete a work package, identifies resources needed to complete a work package, identifies a single person responsible for units of work, identifies monitoring points for measuring progress. So how work breakdown structure helps the project manager? So it's mainly facilitate the evaluation of cost, time, and technical performance of the organization on project, provides management with the information appropriate to each organizational level, helps in the development of the organization breakdown structure, which assigns project responsibility to organizational units and individuals, helps manage plan, schedule, and budget, define communication channels, and assists in coordinating the various project elements. So here is an example of work breakdown structure. Here we have taken a prototype development example. In the top level, the project's final deliverable might be a new tablet prototype called eSlim Tablet X13. Major deliverables in the level 2, this could be include hardware, software, and CPU. Sub-deliverables in level 3-4 for the CPU sub-deliverables could include components like the power supply, flash ROM, and I/O controller. Work packages in the level 5, the I/O controller might be broken down into even smaller tasks like USB slots and touch screens, and each assigned to a specific team or individual with defined responsibility, cost, and timeline. So the fourth step is the integration, the work breakdown structure with the organization. So organizational breakdown structure, OBS, depicts how the firm is organized to discharge its work responsibility for a project. It mainly provides a framework to summarize organizational work unit performance, identify organization units responsible for work packages, tie the organizational unit to cost control accounts. The OBS visually represent how the organization is structured to handle the project's responsibility. It maps out the different units and departments within the organization, showing how they are organized to take on various tasks. By doing so, it creates a clear picture of who is responsible for what, making it easier to track performance and hold specific units accountable for their work. Providing a framework for the performance summarization, one of the main purposes of the OBS organizational breakdown structure is to offer a framework for summarizing the performance of different organizational units by associating work packages with specific units. The OBS allows project managers to monitor and evaluate the performance of these units. This includes accessing whether they are meeting their budget, time, and technical performance targets. The OBS not only assigns responsibility for work packages but also ties this responsibility to cost control accounts. Cost accounts group similar work packages under the management of a particular department or unit. By doing so, the OBS ensures that each unit is not only responsible for completing a specific task but also for managing the associated cost. The integration of work and cost control helps in maintaining budget discipline and tracking financial performance across different units. So it is an example, or we can say a figure, showcase the integration of WBS and OBS. The organizational breakdown structure plays a crucial role in establishing accountability within an organization for the work to be performed in a project. When combined with the work breakdown structure, the OBS provides a clear framework for accessing responsibilities, for assigning responsibilities to various organizational units, and ensuring that each unit is accountable for specific aspects of the project. The WBS identifies all the work required to complete the project by breaking it into smaller manageable work packages. However, to execute these work packages effectively, it's essential to link them with the organizational units responsible for carrying out the work. This is where the OBS comes into play. The OBS organizes the firm in a way that clearly defines which units are responsible for each work package, thereby establishing clear lines of accountability. When the WBS and OBS are integrated, they create what is known as project control points. These are specific intersections where a work package meets the responsible organizational unit. At this intersection, known as cost accounts, the work is assigned and responsibility is established. For example, if the touch sensor sub-deliverable in the WBS includes, which we have seen in the previous example, it can include three work packages. This might be assigned to different departments such as design, quality control, test, and production in the OBS. Each department is then responsible for the completion of their respective work packages. So the fifth step is coding the WBS for the information system. It involves assigning a coding system to the work breakdown structure to ensure its usability. This coding system often numeric define the hierarchy and elements of the WBS, enabling consolidation of reports at various levels. Codes facilitate tracking of budgets, work assignments, and performance. For large projects, additional codes or letters may be used for specific reports or details. A WBS dictionary may also be used to provide detailed description of each WBS element, which helps in managing project scope effectively. So the next topic or next term is the process breakdown structure, or PBS. PBS is a project management tool designed for project structures where the outcome is a result of a sequence of phases or steps rather than a set of tangible deliverables. Unlike the work breakdown structure, which is ideal for projects with clear physical deliverables, the PBS organizes a project around its phases, making it particularly suited for process-oriented projects such as software development, research, or business process re-engineering. So in short, we can say process projects are driven by performance requirements, not by plan or blueprints. And the next topic is the responsibility matrix. A responsibility matrix is a practical tool used in project management to clearly define and assign responsibilities for specific tasks within a project. It's especially useful for smaller projects where detailed work breakdown structure or organizational breakdown structure might be excessive. The RM, or responsibility matrix, helps to ensure that all team members understand their roles and responsibilities, which is essential for the smooth execution of the project. Benefits of a responsibility matrix can be clarity, coordination, accountability. Because it clearly defines who is responsible for each task, reducing the chances of confusion or overlap in responsibilities, helps in coordinating efforts between different team members and organizational units, especially where tasks overlap, ensure that each task has a designated person or group responsible for its completion, enhancing accountability. So it's an example where we can say how to create a responsibility matrix for a smaller project. So first of all, list the project activity. Start by identifying and listing all the activities or tasks that needed to be completed in the project. These tasks should be specific and cover all aspects of the project from start to finish. So here in this example, you can say from the identified target customers to prepare final reports. These are all the project activities. Identify participation or participants who will be the responsible for these works, these activities. List all the team members or organizational units involved in the project. Each member's role should be clearly defined, whether they are leading the task or providing support. So here we can see that Richard, Dan, Dave, Linda, Elizabeth are the team members who are responsible for doing all these activities. Then we have to assign responsibilities. For each activity, assign one or more team members as responsible. In the matrix, this is often denoted with an R for person who is primarily responsible for completing the task. Additional team members who will support the task can be denoted with an S as supports or assists. and define authority and communication channels. In more complex metrics, you can extend the responsibility matrix by defining the level of authority or involvement each team member has in a task. This could involve assigning different levels of responsibility, such as A for approval authority, C for consulted authority, I for informed. So this is an example of complex metric structure. And the last thing we'll learn is the project communication plan. A project communication plan is essential for ensuring that information is effectively disseminated to all stakeholders throughout the project lifecycle. It plays a crucial role in keeping everyone informed, aligned, and able to contribute effectively to the project success. Project communication plans address the following core questions: what information needs to be collected and when, who will receive the information, what methods will be used to gather and store information, what are the limits, if any, one who has access to certain kinds of information, when will the information be communicated, how it will be communicated. So here's a step by step guide to creating a communication plan for project. First, stakeholder analysis. The first step in developing a communication plan is to define or identify the key stakeholders who need to be received about the project. This could include project sponsor, project team, customer, clients, external vendors, senior management. Then information needs. Once the stakeholders are identified, the next step is to determine what information each group needs and when they need it. Common type of information includes project status report, regular updates on project progress highlighting achievements, issue and risks, milestone reports, updates on the completion of key project milestone, detailed information on who is responsible for what including deadline and dependencies or supports, information on any changes to the project scope, budget or timeline, summaries of decisions made during project meetings along with action items. Sources of information. Next, identify where the information will come. This could include tools like MS Project, Asana or Jira, which track progress and generate reports, minutes, team minutes, meeting minutes, where the action items are generated during regular project meetings, email communication between team members, stakeholders and external vendors, documents such as the project charter, scope statement and contracts. Then dissemination modes. Decide how the information will be communicated to stakeholders. Different methods can be included in this process. For distributing regular reports, meeting minutes and important announcements, we can use email or face-to-face virtual meetings for discussing complex issues, making decisions and providing updates. Or systems like SharePoint or Google Drive, where project documents can be stored and accessed by stakeholders. Or teleconferencing, video conferencing for regular updates, especially for geographically dispersed teams. Responsibility and timing. Assigning responsibility for disseminating information and establish a timeline for communication. So this is an example of communication plan for a project. Thank you for listening and learning with me, and this is the end of our learning. Thank you.